on the Face Emma books with the people saying, "Oh, I believe her, I don't believe her, you don't believe," and then a lot of people came out and said, "Hey, I was sexually assaulted in my youth and I never came out," and so does it make it any less valid that for someone to come out with it later? Or, I mean, I think in a case like this, he's a Supreme Court justice. We should know what's going on.
This revamped a lot of issues and things that had happened to a lot of, like they were talking about the RAIN program, you know, where you call RAIN. It's about a rape. RAIN. I believe Tori Amos helped start it in the early '90s. It's I forgot that it's an acronym, but basically their phone lines were blowing up because a lot of people, not just women, but people were affected by watching her testimony. They thought, I mean, their phone lines were blowing up because of the fact of the matter that it brought people's, I guess, things that they have blocked in their mind.
Sure.
Like, for example, I got an article from my cousin of the principal that molested her recently. And that's a whole story. I'll tell you about that later. But basically, you know, the fact of the matter is, like, she seems so credible. What does she have to gain?
Right, what does she have to gain?
And then his testimony, he just came out, like, angry. Like,
how dare you question my white male privilege?
Yeah. And that's already a turnoff. And then here's another thing. Senator Dick Durbin of Illinois kept asking him, like, would you agree to the FBI, you know, basically investigating you? He couldn't answer the question. He had that long pause. If you're not guilty,
look in, look away.
I'm innocent. Yeah. Come to my house. Come on, let's go. Follow me now.
Go through my closet. Let's check out the skeletons.
Check out my pants.
Yeah, check out my pants. There ain't no skeletons in
I like
pants.
beer.
Yeah.
There's been so many memes about him because the whole testimony, his testimony that is, was really funny because he kept talking about beer and stuff. And
because he wanted to be a regular guy. He wants to, like, snow us into. But the thing is, we don't get the opportunity to say yay or nay on this. This is not like we the people don't get a choice. Like,
no.
That's the thing. The president gets to appoint them, and then the Senate and the House decide yay or nay. And I think that this is maybe something that needs to wait until after the re-election.
And that's the thing. The Republicans are not going to do that. They're trying to hurry up and rush this guy through before the midterms because the Republicans know that they're going to lose.
Well, we don't know that. We didn't think Trump was going to win either. And
I think they're going to lose.
But people need to come out and vote, and that's the thing that's really important.
That's really important.
This is that opportunity for us to affect
this is
how
really
our
do or
lives
die.
Are. Right. And if this is the time where let's not be Germans, friends. Let's learn from the past. We cannot be complicit. We cannot be apathetic. We can't just talk about it on the radio. We have to actually go out and vote for the midterm elections and make sure that we have. I mean, I don't really agree with the Democrats either.
I don't
to be
either.
honest, but it's better than the Republicans.
You take what you can get.
Right. Yeah,
because I will say this much. I'm glad that the Democrats are doing a better job with doing these hearings than what they did with Merrick Garland, who Obama appointed. And then they didn't fight hard enough for him because Merrick Garland, Obama was supposed to appoint him, and the Republicans said, "Oh no, you know, no, we're not going to."
Because it was in December. It was right before he was going to turn over.
Exactly.
And
he's a moderate.
His presidency.
Right.
And
they did, and the Democrats were just like they just rolled over like they usually do.
Said, "Oh, okay,
okay."
We won't. But that's the thing is that Trump gets to appoint two. That's so scary.
I mean, we already have what's his face, who's a corporate Supreme Court justice. Not
Jeff Sessions.
Not Jeff Sessions. He's the Keebler elf. Yeah. His name will come to me, but he's a corporate Supreme Court justice. This Brett Rapist Kavanaugh is another one. But on top of that, he also. The reason why the Republicans and Trump really want him so bad, their dick is hard, is because if Trump gets to the point of impeachment, Kavanaugh will be the one. He doesn't think that
the Supreme Court votes on the.
There you go.
I didn't know the Supreme Court had something to do with impeachment.
This is the dirty tricks that they're trying to play. They're trying to rush this man through. And then, I mean, the thing is, it's just like, why can't you find someone else? Oh, you can't find anyone else before the midterm. Oh, too bad.
Yeah, but this guy, I mean,
There's too many skeletons
there's
in his
too
closet.
many skeletons.
Too many.
But that's, I mean, when we think about the Supreme Court, we have to think about what they're going to be looking at. And they're going to be looking at what, like, benefits the people or benefits large corporations. And
That's
if
they're donors. Their
Yeah.
donors want this man in.
That's bad news.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's just really, really disgusting how. And then Trump was at a rally in Mississippi, and I was reading about this today, that basically he was mocking the woman that came out. Her name is Christine Blasey
He
Ford.
gets to weigh in on that?
He was making fun of her.
That's insane. Wow.
You should really. He was at a rally. It's really disgusting.
Wow.
It's really like
because he's trying to defame her, saying that what she said isn't true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people are, wow.
And it's. I want to know. Did a lot of people ask you when you were in Europe about like?
No. Well, okay. So people didn't think. So when people asked us where we were from, we would say California. We wouldn't say the United States. We'd just be like,
That's actually
we're from
smart.
California. We live in San Francisco. People are like, oh.
Okay, you're different.
Yeah, you guys are okay. But no, people didn't really. I mean, the funny thing was, I bought. This was the only like souvenir I brought back from Naples. It's Trump. I took a picture of it on the internet too for people when I was gone.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's Trump toilet paper. So his face is on the little sheets, and there's a picture of him, and it's got doo-doo. It's very funny. It's
They don't
back
like 'em.
here. There it is. It's the Trump toilet paper.
I like it that they're selling that to Italians as a souvenir.
Well, Naples is filled with tourists. It's just it's another tourist type place. But it was great. It wasn't like Rome was touristy. It was like awesome and so.
That's
many,
where pizza
all these fried food
originated.
stalls. Yeah, the pizza is great and cheap, and everything's cheap there because I guess their economy's in the shitter. And that's what I wanted to talk about with people, and I didn't understand. I'm like, what happened to Italy and Greece? I guess Greece 14 years ago something happened, and their economy just went.
Yeah, I went down the shitter.
It just
with the
tanked.
euros, right?
I guess with the euros.
I think it has to do with the
All I
euros.
know is that food there is wicked hella cheap in both Italy and Greece. I mean, it's unbelievably inexpensive. And wine, like, you can get a good bottle of wine for €2. Like, it's insane because they grow everything there. Oh my God, and I couldn't bring home any olive oil, but just because we weren't checking bags, we only had backpacks.
Oh, you were checked down.
No, but olive oil was like, I mean, like, you can't even believe how inexpensive. Like, huge, big containers, like gallon containers, were like €6 of like real Italian olive oil. So it's funny when you go to Trader Joe's and you get your bottle of olive oil, and like, oh my God, it's so cheap, it's only $7.99. That's, I mean.
Yeah, but it's manufactured
Well,
compared to like.
they say that it's from Italy. I don't know what Trader Joe's does, but food over there is crazy inexpensive. But then again, we talked to some of the local guys in Napoli, in Naples, young guys, and they said that they don't have labor laws like we do here, like $15 an hour now in San Francisco. The young guys were saying they can get paid €2 an hour. Like, that's pretty common. Like, if you're a server, and people don't tip in Europe, so you're making €2 an hour and you're not getting tipped out. So they're just not making the kind of money we are. And
their economy isn't that great right now either in Italy.
Isn't really
because a lot of young people too. Well, I guess we can call ourselves young here. Are struggling basically to even survive and what have you. And no one. There's really not much of a housing market there because no one can really afford.
Well, things are, at least in Greece, housing is super inexpensive. But I was asking, we met this guy Nico. He's amazing. He's going to have an art show here. He's a really great photographer and just a cool artist guy. And we hung out with him a couple nights, met him, and then he invited us to his house. It was amazing. And then we invited him over for dinner. Anyways, cool guy. But he was saying that people can live there for like €500 a month. You can have a place to live, you can eat, you can live off of that.
And what is €5 is that 200?
No, it's euros pretty much to the dollar, pretty close. They're a little bit higher than us, so it's like $1.20 to the dollar right now.
Oh, okay.
So they're €1.20 to the dollar. No, opposite way. It's $1.20 to the euro. So our money goes a little less far. But once you translate it into their money, it's like you just live with their money and think of them like dollars.
It's cheaper than pounds.
But it's
that's
cheap.
for sure.
I mean, 500. So imagine living in a city for $500 a month. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, but if you're making $2,
Right. Yeah. I mean,
that's a struggle.
right. Yeah.
Jeez.
But I mean, it's the same thing here. Like in San Francisco, they couldn't believe how much our rents are, and like because you can buy a house there for the amount of money we pay in rent.
You know, part of me, I was thinking about this last night, like thinking about like, what if I just move out of San Francisco and move to like Atlanta? How much my money would go
Right.
farther?
Yeah.
Though it'd be Atlanta, Georgia, in the South, but just thinking how much farther my money would go.
I was thinking about Greece. I mean, Athens is pretty awesome.
So there is a little twinkle in your eye of possibly, maybe.
Well, if the station ever fell apart, like, you know, and it's one of those things change, times change, and I don't want to be like fatalistic, but San Francisco's a difficult place to continue being an artist. I mean, it's just not, I mean, and it's funny because it's such a creative place and it has been for so long and it's been such a home to artists, but to see just the apathy of people and how little they care about art and expression and you know, and that's the way of the future because
Don't
everybody
say that.
well no because everyone can express themselves all the time, so what's the purpose of art? Do you know what I mean? Like if you know, any Susan and Karen can have a podcast, you know, on their iPhone whenever they want. Then the kids are moving so fast and they're all on Instagram, like everyone's famous now, you know, everybody Snapchats and videograms and everybody knows about everything, and it's like, I mean, even Facebook is dead, which is funny because I'm still like trying
I know.
to recess it.
I barely check it anymore.
Well, no, I mean, it's the only thing I use because I don't have the grams and the instas and the tweets and the twats but like that's the thing about art now. I think that it's falling apart because everyone's an artist, because everyone has an iPhone and everyone can be a photographer now, and everyone can think that they're, you know, a radio star or basically anyone can do anything. I mean, you could be famous on that stupid Musical.ly app. Like you could have thousands and thousands of followers watching you lip sync.
Or on the YouTube.
Or on the YouTube. So like because everything's become possible.
You don't have to leave your house.
Right. And
that's scary.
And what is the value of art if everybody's doing it? I mean, does it give it more value or does it not? It's just, you know, is poetry still real? Does reading have value? Like, you know, just questions.
I think reading definitely has value. I feel, here's the good thing. I will say this much. It seems like with the times that's going on right now, people have started to read more, and especially with books.
You think?
I think so. I think it has this. This is just my opinion from what I've been noticing and observing, that people are started to get interested in reading. I think mostly about politics though,
Sure.
and what's going on with the administration. I think people are paying attention.
Are they reading books or are they reading the internet?
Both.
Okay.
I definitely think both. You know, but I think the fact that people reading, because there was a point in time where people weren't reading at all.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I would rather have people read something and have knowledge about something that's going on around them, or know your fucking history or something.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know, it's. I think with what's going on in today's society, people are starting to slowly read again and get interested into it. I think it's a small percentage, but it's better compared to what I would say 10 years ago.
But that's the thing. We're exponentially growing as a species, populating, etc. So the amount of people that are reading again, is it enough? Like
I don't think it's enough.
Do we have a groundswell of critical thought, or is that, I mean, we still have, we allowed this president to be here. We allowed a reality TV star with no experience whatsoever, the ultimate fake it till you make it. We've adopted that as our country's byline, like fake it till you make it. And that is so sad because
It's pathetic.
Whatever happened to discipline? Like, I don't want to break it back down to like I was a ballerina or whatever, but can little girls still be ballerinas, or do they call it torture now? I mean, like, I don't know what to do. It's art day, but I can't imagine kids these days being ballerinas because no one, you can't.
It's hard work.
Well, you can't yell at their snowflake child. Like the things that it's just I'm trying to work on this new joke about like all this Me Too movement bullshit, and I feel triggered, and I was touched, and I was blah blah blah. Did you ever go to a hip hop club in the '90s? Like everything was assault. Like, people stuck their dick up against your buns, like without even looking at your face first.
Or did you even mosh?
Oh,
Like,
well, that's just
did you crowd surf and people just touch your tits and just grab your hoo ha?
Yeah. I want to crowd surf, but I don't feel safe.
I got sexually assaulted crowd surf. I actually did get sexually assaulted crowd surfing.
It's totally possible.
Yeah, it's
absolutely possible.
But I mean, I think those are things that we've kind of blocked, and we didn't think about as being sexually assaulted.
We grew up in the '90s where it was like that's what happened. You went to a club, you had a couple drinks, he didn't see your face, he'd come up, guys would come up, you just
grind
knew.
up on you.
You just knew. If you're gonna go to a hip hop club in LA, in Koreatown, on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night, you know what's going on. Like, it wasn't like I didn't know that guys were gonna. Like,
it don't make it right, though.
It doesn't make it right, but it just makes it the '90s, the late '90s in LA, and like, I mean. This is the other thing.
I would push people off, like when
I would too. I'd say, you look at my face first, you know, like.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know you.
Right, give me the opportunity to see if I want you to grind up on me like I'm a stripper. Like, at least make eye contact with me, you ugly fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Don't come up from behind.
Don't come up from behind all sneaky.
Because I'm gonna hit you. I'm gonna backhand you. Like, what the fuck is?
But I mean, that was the '90s. So not that I'm like, oh, everything's okay and it's okay to touch people inappropriately, but. I mean, even in the thousands, I didn't understand. Like, I thought that being a feminist was me playing a game of grab ass with, like, Susan with the sweater set and the pearls from Minnesota. And her girls were so upset we were in Brooklyn and we were playing a game of grab ass because I guess I was inappropriate. It's just the time we were raised. So I grabbed somebody's cute guy's butt and then I'd point at her and go, like, she did it. And she'd do the same thing to me, and I thought it was really cute. And now I realize that is totally assault. But I just didn't.
I called it taking it back.
Right. At the time, I thought, oh, I'm being a really good feminist. We're if guys can do it, we can do it
exactly.
too.
Like, sure, we'll let you know how it feels.
Yeah. I didn't realize that they were such little baby snowflakes. Oh, you're assaulting me. But it was a time. I understand now, like, that when we're steeped in how we were raised, that's. Our experiences lead to who we are, and
we were all raised, men and women were definitely raised in rape culture.
Yeah, rape is fine.
And then this also goes back to what Christine Blasey Ford, the fact that you have women who are saying that what 17-year-old boy hasn't put his mouth, covered a woman's mouth to shut her up while he's trying to sexually assault her.
Wow.
Like, how... making it seem normal. Like, that is not normal. No one has ever put their hands over my mouth to shut me up and turn the music up so they can try to force themselves on me.
Well, that's happened to me only when I'm really drunk and being super loud. Because I was trained that you're not having fun having sex unless you're loud. Like, that was like a thing that, I don't know if movies taught me or how I was taught that, but that was the thing that I was mistakenly indoctrinated with in my youth.
So, and that don't make it right.
So I was, but I mean, I was super drunk, and I was in a guy's house in San Francisco. This is before Jonathan and I were together, so I was being a little slutty. But I was sleeping with a really cute skateboarder guy. He's very tall. I won't say his name because it's been a long time. I don't want to implicate him in any. But I was being super, super loud, and I remember a couple things specifically. One, he didn't have any sheets on his bed, which I thought was really interesting and bizarre. He's like, why don't you have sheets on your bed?
It was just a mattress.
He was just a mattress with with a comforter, and it wasn't a down comforter, it was just a comforter on it. But I mean, he was a skateboarder, so they're dirty little weirdos, and he was like probably under 25. I don't know. I was in my early 30s, and I was being super loud, and he was like, you gotta be quiet.
But this is different from, like, she's saying,
I wasn't being sexually assaulted. I was into it. This guy he was hot. He was a good-looking young skateboarder. I was like, hell yeah, let's get boning, let's get doing it. But my point is that I was somehow taught that. I mean, it's the same way. Like, how do we shave our pubic hair? It's usually how we're taught. So it's like, what kind of porn did you watch, or what did your mom's bush look like, or if you're you know what I mean? Like,
or just please him, don't worry about you.
right, shave it like the way he wants, or yeah, there was a lot of that when I was, in my 20s, during my first marriage, there was a lot of like, well,
Oh,
you're a
yeah.
wife now, this is how you act, and this is how
It's
the
all
world.
about him, not about you
Right.
sexually.
But, and that was all the Jesus stuff too, is that like, the way to please others is to serve them. So like, that was all the Jesus stuff
Yeah.
of like, you should get joy out of service and of constantly serving others. And it's a constantly giving gifts, but it's basically just training for martyrdom. And I recognize that now because, I don't know, it just took me a long time to grow up. But there's all of these tropes and these archetypes that are sort of steeped into us. And I think that if you did your seminal living from in the 90s, like, it's the same way like homophobia was just rampant. You can't watch a movie in the 90s without every joke being about gay people.
Gay or
It's
fag
something
or
about
something, yeah.
being a homo. That's like the crux of some movies even, is that it's a joke about someone feeling effeminate as a male. And it's like, whoa. And so,
We've evolved away from that, and to where, certain men, do feel comfortable about being feminists. There are feminist straight males,
Sure.
and then, manscaping. That's kind of a form of like being femme in a way. But I think in that department we've kind of evolved in certain areas and in certain cultures.
Well,
But
because
when it
people
comes,
have taken the power to say that I'm not going to live by these gender tropes, and I'm not going to say that men do this and women do this, and boys play with trucks and girls play with dolls, and we have evolved because that was what in the 50s. I mean, women couldn't even have credit cards until like
1975.
Yeah. So, I mean, and there was stuff like women driving that became like an issue in the teens and 20s, and can women drive?
Women working.
Women working, right?
Women,
All
single
kinds
women, people are like single women, like being a single woman.
Right.
There was I forget what is her name, Helen Gurley wrote the book in the 1960s, Sex and the Single Girl or something, which was controversial.
Sure.
But even now today, we still, when it comes to rape culture and how women, and like, did she say yes, or making her feel guilty,
Right.
or like, was she
bought her
drug or-
dinner.
Yeah, or like, what was she wearing?
Right,
That
right.
that is something that is
Did
so.
you meet her on Tinder? So that's hard now too, is that because of the way people are meeting, and especially some of these apps, like if you're on Tinder, is that a measure of consent? Because it was based off Grindr, and Grindr was originally just so guys could hook up with guys, and Tinder, people say the same thing. And I'm just making a devil's advocate argument that, hey, she was on Tinder. Like, what else did she want? She didn't want to fuck? Like, that's what Tinder's for. Like, some people could argue that. And not that I agree with that.
Right.
But then they'll say, well, she was on Tinder, and she did wear that
It's-
skanky dress. And
It's all about consent, though. That's the
then
one thing that I don't think.
alcohol is on every date. And so how can you truly give consent if, like, because there's, I mean, I don't know.
I think there's a responsibility as a person. Like when I used to be a hoe, and I knew I was getting myself I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, I was looking for sex.
Yeah, I was looking for sex. I wanted to get it on, and so if I was drunk, it was because I knew where I was going with
Right.
this.
Sure.
I already prepared myself mentally,
Absolutely.
but also too, I didn't want anyone to force themselves on
No,
me.
of course
It was
not.
going to be on my choice. So I've been
Yeah.
blessed for that not to happen to me during my whole days. Thank God.
Yeah, me too.
But
And that whole condom thing, like,
yeah,
I mean, sometimes I'm so lucky I never got an STD, but it's hard because
Whoops.
guys don't like to use condoms, and so I mean, I feel like I was not duped is not the word, but pressured is maybe pressured is the right word.
I've been pressured.
I wanted to use protection. I wanted to use a condom, but it didn't happen because and then I guess that's all my fault at the end because I wanted it too, but I wanted it bad enough that I was like, yeah, fuck the condom, because
But you felt pressured in that way.
I felt like that he wasn't going to have sex with me if there was a condom involved. It was like they were putting up an ultimatum, almost like,
Right.
but it wasn't an ultimatum, but
But these are the questions that we need to ask ourselves now, like especially like being in our 20s and doing stupid shit and learning from that stupid shit too.
Mhm.
I mean, we had conversations like this, but it wasn't, we didn't really talk about what rape culture is.
Sure, sure.
And we knew what consent was.
Well, we
but
never talked about consent when I was little. Are you fucking kidding me? Consent wasn't a part of anything, any conversation anywhere at all, ever. And sex was like, I want boys to like me. The way I can get them to like me is by pleasing them sexually.
Yeah.
Like that was sort of what I was.
She doesn't put out. She's not worthy.
And I wasn't gonna. I was, holding the vag together because of the Christianity. But I gave so many blowjobs. I didn't know. And this is one of the stories I tell. I didn't know that you could get an STD from a blowjob. I didn't know that until I was 25. I was like, you can get HIV from a blowjob, and people were like, yeah. Where were you? What planet did you grow up on? The planet Prude? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was the other thing, is that because sex was never talked about and was not a thing, and it was like, save yourself for Jesus and all that, like, I learned from movies, TV, videos, VH1, MTV, all of that, that if you wanted boys to like you, you have to put out.
Yeah. That was something that, luckily, I was one of those girls that
everybody didn't get them.
luckily, like in high school, this is the late 90s, early 2000s, like we already went through the sexual harassment and Anita Hill and all that stuff, and people thought I wasn't a virgin just because of the way I act and talked, and I seemed like I was experiencing things, but I was a virgin. And when there were times when dudes wanted me to put out, I knew I didn't want to, and especially with you, in your friend's bedroom. This ain't even your bedroom, Nick Downs. I remember you. And it was something that, like, I guess, like, I held on to it, and I didn't even suck dick until I was 17. Yeah, 17. And he reciprocated too, because I'm like, listen, I'm not sucking your dick unless you eat my snatch.
Wow.
So it's fair.
17.
Yeah, because it was just like, listen, it's my body, and if I want to get my rocks off, because by that point I was collecting porn and stuff, so I was exploring things, but I was a rare 17-year-old. Now in my 20s, I turned into a hoe. When I lost my virginity when I was 20, I was like, whoa,
what is this?
What is this? I can sit on it and spit on it and spin? Yeah.
Hell
Yeah. But I think I kind of lost myself in that time of my whole period, where there were some points when I was getting pressured into doing things that I did not want to do, but I did it anyway because I was trying to please him.
Sure.
And I wanted him to like me.
Well, and that's the thing, is that I didn't know, like, me as a person I wasn't taught that was important. So I always, even like what's that thing called when you ask about the guy and I can't remember what it's called, but it's a thing where someone asks you about a man, and it only takes a couple seconds in a conversation, and suddenly, basically,
mansplain?
I didn't feel like I existed without the context of a relationship, and especially a man. Like you weren't anything unless a guy thought you were important. Sort of like me thinking I was important wasn't important. It was, you aren't real unless you aren't real unless someone else values you, and that person, specifically, I was taught it came from a male source. So you have to have if you don't have a guy that thinks you're great, then you aren't anything.
Right.
And I don't know why and how that construct came to being, but it did, and it
fucks with your self-esteem.
Well, yeah, and it fucks with your concept of sexuality, because if I'm only important because of my sexuality, then that's a weird thing to base your self-worth and image on, is like how attractive you are to others. That's I mean, but I think that a lot of women for many years, that's all we had was, God, thank God she's pretty because she's sure not that smart or whatever. But being intelligent wasn't the end-all be-all.
Right.
And it didn't matter because we didn't have a voice anyways. So no matter how smart we got, what were we going to tell our husbands? You know what I mean?
Right.
If you didn't have a husband, then you were a witch.
Yeah.
you should be burned.
Or what do they call women who don't have partners?
Old
Spinsters.
maids, spinsters, old maids. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty negative.
Yeah.
Witches, spinsters, old maids.
Cat lady.
Cat ladies.
You know,
Yeah.
I'd rather be a spinster than a cat lady.
Well, I love cats. So, Zach Wiseman helped me out last night. I was hosting at Taupe, and when I do that, I get free alcohol. So needless to say, I remember the entire open mic. The last comedian was Greg Gettle. I remember it. I remember the list, but I don't remember a lot after that. I guess Zach Wiseman, sweet, nice Zach Wiseman, walked me home, and it started to rain. I guess it was raining. I was talking to Jonathan, and I was like, "It's raining," and I didn't care. I remember none of this. I guess I got home. He was watching some punk video. I'm like, "Yeah, Zach Wiseman here, woohoo!" So, anyways, I guess I was awake for a little bit, but then I was passing out, so I fell asleep. I woke up this morning. I had no idea that Zach had been there. Completely forgot, but he stayed up all night and made me a collage, and it's on my kitchen wall now, and it's all these cats. And I have kittens, pictures of kittens, and they're all cut out, and they're so cute together. And I'm like, he must be doing meth again, because this is so cool. It is so cool. Like, I went to sleep, and I woke up, and there's, like, art in my house. Whoop-a-doo-whoop-a-doo. Woo! So,
Cat lady.
Yeah.
My boyfriend's a cat man, so he's a cat man. I'm taking it back, calling him cat man. I'm like, all these cats.
Good.
He's had 4 cats all at once.
That's
I'm like,
a cat man.
That's
Yeah.
a cat man. I'm like, ugh.
That 4 cats.
That's too much pussy for me.
We're gonna get a new cat soon. I hate to defile the memory of Spike, but we changed the house around a little bit so it doesn't feel like it did when he was there and when he died behind the radiator. It was so sad, so I put a chair in front of the radiator now, so I don't have to look at it and think about it so much. But we're gonna it's time, we're back from vacation.
You said that's what you're gonna do?
We're not gonna go anywhere for a while, so it's not a big deal. Jonathan has his new full-time job, so we'll be around for at least 6 months before we go anywhere again. So I think it's time to get another fur baby.
You said that.
Yeah.
You said that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna wait till you come back to the country, and you're back.
There were so many cats in Greece. Like, people in Greece just take care of the cats, like, as a group. It's like it takes a village kind of thing, and there's cats everywhere. We took so many pictures of cats. It was
Cats in hidden crevices of the beautiful buildings.
Oh no, they were hanging out, like coming out and talking to you and meowing. Like, they are really nice cats because the community takes care of them, so they're just out begging for food all the time. They're just the only bummer about the cats in Greece is that I'm gonna say every single one of them has worms, because those people that here's a little veterinarian lesson. God, thank God I was married to a veterinarian in my 20s. All cats, okay, when cats get fleas, and especially if they're outdoor cats, they're going to have fleas. Yeah, I mean, you can get the advantage, and if you get the advantage stuff, basically it changes the biology of the flea. It makes it so that their eggshells are too strong, and the babies can't break out of them. So advantage doesn't kill the fleas, it just doesn't let them hatch. Now, then they eventually die off because they don't get born. But if a cat has fleas, and a cat licks and cleans like they do, which they always do, they eat the fleas.
Oh,
so the parasites live inside or on the flea, so then they get inside the cat and they're fucking stoked because now they're a parasite and they live and they thrive inside the cat, and then their little wormy rice, little maggoty things come out their butt. And I mean, almost all cats, if you have an outdoor cat and you don't have him on advantage, he's gonna have worms. He's gonna have fleas, so he's gonna have worms. It's just the way it is. So you can get dewormer and it's not a big deal. But unless they put it in the entire water supply of Greece, these cats are just going to have worms. So, I mean, there was a cat that was staying at the hotel, and he was our buddy. His name was Garfield. He was such a sweet, sweet kitty, and he was orange. And I was like, oh, look, there's a worm squiggling out of his butt there, you know.
Oh.
So it was hard to like him as much on our bed after the worm incident. But all cats have worms unless you. So that's the thing, is that when we get our new cat from SPCA or whatever, they come, dewormed. They come with.
They come neutered too, right?
Yeah. They spay or neuter them, so we don't have to worry about that. And then they have them they've given them the shots. They make sure they don't have FIV. They tell you if they have FIV.
No kitty AIDS.
No kitty AIDS. They make sure they don't have any like upper respiratory that's going to plague you for the rest of your life. But that's the thing, is that if you get an indoor cat, if you get a cat and you keep them indoors, they're not going to get FIV, and they're not going to get upper respiratory, and they're not going to get ear mites, and they're not going to get fleas, because where are the fleas going to come? They're
Gonna be outside.
they're going to be outside. So we're gonna get it. We already have some names picked out for fur babies.
Fur babies.
Yeah, if it's black, we're gonna name it Lucifer, and if it's a black girl, we'll call her Lucy, and if it's a black boy, we just call him Lucifer or Lucifer, because that's the cute name of the black cat in Cinderella. Well, Lucifer, and the little mice go Lucifer, Lucifer.
That's cute.
That's cute. And if it's an orange kitty, which I'm really hoping for, Mr. Bojango Fett, whether it's a boy or a girl, it's Mr. Bojango Fett, because it's cute. And I used to have an orange cat named Boba Fett, so to have and Jango Fett, in the stories came after the father came after the son, which is weird because of the order of the movies.
That sounds
Anyways,
so cute.
And Mr. Bojangles is an
Bojangles.
old timey racist thing. I don't want to have a black cat and call him Mr. Bojango Fett, because that I feel like is a little too racist. It's like a little on edge.
We're crossing the line.
Crossing the line.
The line. Speaking of worms, now I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah, we can.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom, guys.
Yeah, hopefully Latoya doesn't have any worms.
I don't have worms
Yeah,
today.
I'm hoping that she will come back and tell me more of the news going on in the world, because I seriously have no idea. I mean, the Kavanaugh stuff was all news to me, and whippity-doo, rape culture, it is upon us. It is ripe, it is real. It's gonna be good for my comedy. I'm trying to do that new hip hop